I've never seen this made in Europe level being so demanded like whenever ever before. Yeah. So it's becoming a very unique selling point again. Yeah, it's becoming hip. It's crazy. I mean, I haven't seen anything like this the last 25 years. So, you're sitting in the right place. This is the best panel of the day, for sure. The panel is called Unchain the Stack, Hybrid Cloud Storage Made in Europe. And what angles do we have for the MSPs here in the room? Like our audience here are MSPs, cloud builders, infrastructure providers, and each one of you struggle between innovation, regulation, and profitability. So what we like to explore here over the next 30 minutes is how European-made hybrid storage architectures is reshaping data control, compliance, and business margins. So to get started, let's do a quick introduction round. Patricia, let's start with you.
Yeah, hello, good morning, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the party last night. At least we did. So my name is Patricia. I'm with R&T for 5 years now, and I am in charge of technical alliances in general. So MSPs like you, but also, let's say, ISVs or other technology vendors to liaise and build the relationship and maintain the relationship.
Yes, and we upgraded Sasha. Sasha is now Giorgio.
I'm the new Sasha, yeah.
The new Sasha, yeah.
Giorgio. I work for Cloudian. I am a solution architect based, of course, in Italy, and I cover for Cloudian the South and Eastern European market. And I would say, actually, I'm in the right place because most of my customers are MSPs, and it's good to be here.
Sebastian.
Yeah. My name is Sebastian. I'm from the company Point Software and Systems. We are an ISV focusing to software archiving and also for products for MSPs, and I'm in charge of sales and marketing for the company.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks. I'm Jacqueline van der Werken. I'm actually here for CISP, that means Cloud Infrastructure Providers Europe. So this panel is called Made in Europe. So obviously I'm happy to be on the panel. I'm a president, I'm a chair for CISP in Brussels. But as a general counsel responsible for legal and compliance globally, I also can contribute today, hopefully. I'm working for MSP GLOBAL, which is infrastructure as a service provider.
So we have different viewpoints here. This will get interesting. So it's called Cloud Storage Made in Europe. So let's start with that. What does Made in Europe means? Who'd like to pick it up first?
Well, from our perspective, by our definition, as we are a Germany-based company, so let's say the bread and butter business for us is really building personalized and tailored storage and server solutions for our customers. And of course, we are heavily dependent related to some components on stuff that is coming from abroad, a lot of the stuff, of course, coming from Asia, and there is no other option, but still we manufacture and build the stuff in our factory in Germany, and that's why we are not feeling guilty to really put the label Made in Europe onto it, although, yes, of course, some components come from a different origin. But it's also becoming more and more important to us because we feel that we as Europeans should really stand up and you know, build pride and get rid of all these unhealthy dependencies. I mean, think about the AWS outage a couple of days ago. That really was disastrous for a lot of people, just being offline. And I think we have enough, let's say, expertise, factories, so we can do a lot of stuff really in Europe. And also then follow the legislation we have, which is much better to protect data than from anywhere else.
Yeah, because that's what we make. That's our own products. Actually, the GDPR, of course, one of the best export items globally. I mean, not because of just making regulations, but focusing on what we care about. The safety, the security, and also made in Europe means also now in the sovereignty discussions, of course, very much important for us for geopolitical situations. But even before that, I think some companies, typically the companies here on the panel, are focusing on their original manufacturing, their leadership, their staffing, and also their control over the services. And in addition to that, of course, we have these regulations, and I think that blends together as a very mature stack, part of the stack, and I think we should be proud of that. Yeah, and now there's the momentum to make advantage.
Yeah, Giorgio.
Yeah, for me, let's say, as Cloudian is a key player in the software-defined storage space for object storage, I would say that we enabled a lot of customers to be made in Europe, to have a technology that is made in Europe, where they can provide basically an alternative to what has been one of the most famous hyperscaler out there. You provide an alternative that stays within the I would say the field of your company. It's not going outside. You control the data. You know where the data are, and you control the entire process, which is of course very important, especially for compliance and security.
Yes. I work in this industry for 25 years, and I've never seen this made in Europe level being so demanded like whenever ever before. Yeah, and it's just definitely increasing with this fragmented world we are living in. Yeah. So it's becoming a very unique selling point again. Yeah, it's becoming hip. Yeah, and it's crazy. I mean, I haven't seen anything like this the last 25 years. How do you see that, Sebastian?
Yeah, I think this made in Europe is not only a slogan or a marketing gag, it's really more a strategy for customers, for MSPs. And as if it's an European MSP, there will be European law, so there are some things who get maybe more trust to the customers, so they can be sure data is where it should be and not moved to somewhere.
We have 4 or 5 attendees here from the European Commission, from internal IT department. I had a chance to talk to them yesterday exactly about what we are discussing here. And we will put this on stage for sure, on one of the next conferences to further promote that Made in Europe label. So let's move on. So now we understand what Made in Europe means for all of us here on that panel. So what should be the strategy of an MSP? Is it like a one vendor strategy when you think about storage, or is it a multi-vendor strategy? What would be your recommendations for the MSPs in the room? Sebastian, maybe we start with you.
I think it's more a mix. It's a mix of vendors maybe, focusing to specific use cases to get the optimized offering to the customers, but this is of course also related to the technologies itself. So I think a bright mix of different technologies will give a lot of value to the MSPs, to the customers, if it's the pricing, if it's more focusing to the requirements of the customers at all. So I would not say that this one technology really can be used for all, and so it's important to combine the benefits.
Okay. Giorgio?
Yeah, I would say that a multi-vendor strategy is definitely the standard. Like everyone should have this kind of strategy, but talking about standard, you need then to standardize on something. Like if we think about primary storage, you standardize on speaking fiber channel like SCSI. If you think about secondary storage, NFS, SMB, object S3. So everyone should be able to speak that to have then what I would call interoperability of your data. I am working with MSP1, and today the data are there, I can reach them, my application is up, it goes down, I start working with MSP2. I had a replica available there, my application can still stay up and can still work. So I would work on from this point of view in terms of multi-vendor strategy. Let's say.
So Patricia, for Rausch Network Technik, RT, like how much % of your business is from the MSP channel, roughly?
Well, that's actually where we more or less started, although I think 25 years ago, they didn't call themselves MSPs, but service provider business is really where we started over 25 years ago, and I'd say 60, if not even 70% is really service providers, so the XSP, managed cloud, whatever letter you want to put in front.
And maybe give us like 1 or 2 examples, you know, when we talk about this multi-vendor strategy. Maybe you give an example for a bigger project and a smaller project, something.
Well, I think there's one very important topic, and that is the interoperability, of course. So customers of service providers come with so many different use cases, and I still find it amazing that there is still this either-or behavior inside the industry. They're all technology experts, but it is like to cloud or not to cloud was a topic we discussed like 10 years ago. So, and I think especially in IT, because technology is evolving so fast, it's becoming more complex, it never is an either or, it's always an and. Yeah, it's like also, we can't say object storage is the one to go forward, is better than block or file. No, the answer is, and the honest answer is, it depends. So what we do is really sit down with our customers, because we treat them like partners, and say, let's have a look at the use cases. And sometimes even if the initial inquiry was for a block storage solution, we end up with object storage, or we do even a hybrid solution, because the more hybrid you are, you know, the more flexible you are, the more use cases you can address, and the more margin and profits you have as an MSP. It is relatively simple.
Okay. Do you want to say something?
Yeah, fully agree.
Okay.
So also our members of CISP, so we have European members, like really made in Europe, originated here and incorporated here, subject to the European laws. But of course, their proposition now is typically hybrid. It's a free choice based on technology, on-prem, cloud. But even so, there's also like Cloud Connect, LeaseWeb, is as one of the CISP members, is even making sure that the customer can have the US hyperscaler cloud combined with the European, well, our own cloud, in terms of how the cloud, and also, I mean, yeah, you say multi-vendor, but it's even also possible, of course, to have multi-cloud from one vendor, right? Taking into account the hybrid solutions. And also, we need to, of course, I think it's later in the panel that we need to think of failover solutions. But even so, I think we developed, from a European safety standpoint, also solutions from one vendor in multi-cloud. So I think we have a lot of freedom to offer, typically dependent on the demand and the tooling that the customer is looking for. But the good news is, and that's really nice to share here, everybody knows, but it's a level playing field in terms of regulations. You know, it's just everybody, and we are used to do that, so that's our advantage, I think. That's our priority, always has been. So that's the good thing about Made in Europe, but actually these type of services all need to comply, of course. So I think that's a very nice safety offer to the customer.
Okay. Let's move on. Our next topic is cyber attacks and failure protection. So let's talk about the dark side, or what we have to do when the shit hits the fan. So, Giorgio, let's start with you.
Yeah, let's say, I think that, first of all, the approach of cyber resiliency doesn't come with, I buy this product, it helps me to solve this problem. No, it's again a multi-vendor strategy. And also, it's important, in my opinion, when we talk about data, because this is what we're very good at Cloudian, is to start filling in your product some functionalities that can help you with cyber resiliency. Like, for example, I have my own cloud that is distributed across 2 cities, 2 major cities in France or in Italy or in Germany. So basically, if this major city goes down, power outage, whatever is going to happen, my data still stay available in a transparent way, because this is the other thing I want, right? I don't want that when something like that happens, I need to take 10 people to work on it, to fix it, so that I can recover the access to my data for my customers. The product should work. It goes, one side goes down, I still keep access to my data. And that's one, but the other is, if we think about ransomware attacks, they of course cause a lot of damage in our companies. How do I prevent them, and how do I would say, block them directly? It's a question that we should ask to the storage provider. And as Cloudian, we have capabilities that can help you with that, of course. If you get a ransomware attack, the major one that can happen, unfortunately, on S3, we block it. We directly tell you there was an attack, please go and check out what, why, and what happened. And of course, in case the attack then is successful in using other mediums, we need ways to go back in time. And that's another thing where, as Cloudian, we can definitely help our customers. So it's an overall strategy that has many different points. There's no, unfortunately, I feel like in cyber resilience, there's no silver bullet that can fix everything, let's say.
Sebastian.
I can just agree to all that points, but that's maybe as an add-on. I think that it needs some policies, more automation. It should be focusing to less human manual moves of data to protect or to move it to other places for security reasons, just to prevent errors which result into maybe someone missed to move the data. But if you have an automated process based on a policy individual to the customer or to the use case, you can be sure that those information will be protected at some stage. So with Cloudian, they can do it automatically, but of course there are multiple other ways to do the same. And and on the other hand, if it's a policy-based, you also would have an audit as an MSP. So we are sure to see who moved or who did something with the data, which is, I think, also very important, as this information are from the customer. So if something happens, you need to show we did everything, everything is secure.
Okay. Patricia.
Yeah, I think this entire cyber resilience security ecosystem, let's say, is like technology becoming more complex. And also when you see what's been offered in the market, unfortunately, there's also a lot of marketing fluff where they have or where they are using established descriptions. Take immutability as one example. Immutability doesn't necessarily equal immutability. So, but true immutability, let's say 15 years ago, everybody was fine. It was the warm standard, write once, read many. There was no need to discuss and really request, what do you mean by immutability, dear Mr. Dear vendor? This has changed completely. So especially for MSPs, who are the local heroes and the trusted advisors to their customers, they also have to be very smart and really avoid running into the trap and believing a marketing message versus what does it actually truly deliver. Is that a true promise, also technically, or is that just a marketing term?
Yeah.
And I think that is not easy today.
It became so complex, and it's like the requirements are so high. For a small MSP, it's like it's expected. They know everything and can handle the whole framework, but it's obviously even getting more complex by the day. Yeah. So.
And stuff also gets more blurry as technology evolves. I mean, today, can you really clearly, as it was possible 20 years ago, this is server and this is storage. It gets more blurry.
Blurry, yeah. So, Jacqueline, how do you help your members, which are service providers at CISPE, how do you help them through this complex, more and more complex frameworks?
Because it's just what it's specifically focused on MSPs and also, of course, the IaaS providers, but also middle and small-sized businesses. So what you see now is actually new, that of course we knew about the sovereignty principles, right? European law, jurisdictions control, financing, residential staff, and ultimate control. But now what I see happening is that also the failover procedures, the failover solutions quite in a very detailed technical way in order to execute, in order to really comply it in the business processes and the solutions. It's becoming part of the sovereignty labels. So that's what I see. So now the CISP label that we are working on, there's many initiatives, of course, but that is typically focused on the understanding of the customer and the technical implementation. Some of these sovereignty labels are more academic, more like regulatory focused, but ours is really meant to be helping the customer and the technology and including the failover solutions. So that's, I think, a great addition to make it less blurry and to clarify what needs to be audited based on these labels. And also, in addition to this whole discussion, of course, there's also the federated cloud initiatives. So that's not typically multi-vendor, but federated cloud as a true alternatives to the bigger clouds that we need to have an alternative
Let's maybe
offer.
just explain real quick what federated cloud means.
Well, it's actually working together like a corporation. For the customer, very easy, one-stop shop. But on the back end, we make sure that wherever there's the need for cloud solutions, that we as cloud providers combine our offering so that we make a federated cloud. And as long as we have to comply with the same requirements, the same failover procedures and safety solutions, then it's really an interesting model. Also, that is still in the making. On CISP, it's called Fulcrum, but there's more initiatives. And then again, the regulation does help because for NIS2, of course, all the safety standards are there, including failover requirements. And it's not for this purpose, but the Data Act, of course, is made for volatile market, anti-lock-in, easy to go from one provider to the other. But on the terms of operability, it also contributes to this discussion in addition to the original purpose.
Thank you. Let's talk about storage cost and how to mitigate it. So I mean, we saw how fragile this world is a couple of years ago with the supply chain problems we had in our industry. So what is your advice to the MSPs in the room to deal with increasing storage cost and, keeping up with the demand? Patricia, do you want to start?
Well, I'm not even sure if it is correct to say storage costs went up. I think if you look at what you had to pay for 1 gig of RAM 5 years ago, it became, on one hand, and this is bizarre, it became much cheaper. And also, when you look at technologies like object storage, which really allows to start small and scale to the sky's the limit, you can actually do it step by step. And that makes it far more beneficial, especially from a cost perspective, because we have customers, as an example, said, well, object storage is not yet in my portfolio, but I see there is a demand, but I'll start with a small cluster of 50, 60 terabyte. It isn't a lot to serve the use case of those 4 customers. So that means that it becomes quickly profitable because you no longer have to invest in a, 200K monolithic big storage array like you had to a couple of years ago. So that means there is a lot of technology out there where you actually can start small and then really scale as more customers you're on board and who pay for the services. So I think it's a great business model. And as you just said, especially when it comes to cyber resilience, a lot of people don't think about storage, but it's such an essential element. Okay, so let's be honest, storage is the foundation of every IT stack. Yes, it is complex, and yes, compared to a laptop or a server, it is more expensive, but without the foundation, you've got nothing. It's like building a house. Without the foundation, it won't work.
Sebastian.
Yeah, I think if you start small, you may not have the problems about the cost. And even if maybe each part is maybe not so expensive, but the complexity of what have to be stored is increasing also. So you would maybe have more capacity. and you have different kind of information and data. Some are very new, they need very expensive storage, which is performant but expensive, and maybe someone just need to be stored over a longer period. And I think it makes sense to add, in this case, an intelligent tiering, something who can recognize the age or the requirements of the information, of the data, and move then maybe more to a suitable technology. So if it's high-performant workload, keep it on the flash, but if it's there for compliance reason, maybe to keep it for the next 20 years, maybe tape is a better fit. And maybe for the meantime, you can just use standard hard disk. And I think to add those intelligent parts within the infrastructure would also very optimize the handling, and then will definitely reduce the costs, increase the margins, and also give a fair pricing to the customers, which in the end needs to pay what they want.
And good old tape is still alive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's like bold marketing claims, the one that come. This is dead, this other is dead. It was tape years ago. When I started working, it was tape. Now it's HDD drives that are, in my opinion, very much alive. Like we sell everyday solutions that are on HDD drives, and we're also selling solutions that are on flash. But going specifically to the point of the question, I would say storage cost is going up probably if you use public cloud, because it never goes down unless you start doing FinOps. But let's say there we go in another direction. But if you use hyperscaler, storage costs will always go up. I was discussing this, I think it was 2 or 3 weeks ago on LinkedIn with a guy that does FinOps on how S3 costs remained like standard. It never went down. And the reason is that if it's used, if it's sold, why should I take my price down? And I would say, do what our customer do, translate the cost going down of the hardware to my end user, which is what our service providers do. For example, they buy hardware at a cheaper cost nowadays, commodity hardware, and they basically build their own cloud based on it, and the cost can go down, and they can push this to their end user, which is different if you think about hyperscalers. They will not make your bill at the end of the month cheaper. So this is how, and then multi-tier, in my opinion, it's very important for us at Cloudian too, let's say, and eventually even use the hyperscaler if I need it sometimes, because our solution is hybrid cloud, so go on AWS, go on GCP, go on Azure, and have them in a single multi-cloud solution, let's say.
So my personal take on this is like, there's always these waves, in the business. So in my perspective, we had this wave or this boom of building data centers, completely inefficient. We were just building, we were not thinking about efficiency. And now, for the last 9 to 12 months, you see this is changing a little bit. They're rolling back, and it's about optimization, because it was built too fast. If you build too fast, it's not efficient in any way. And I kind of observe that. Plus, on the other side is there's the MSPs as channel partners and their customers coming to you guys saying like, hey, we need to optimize that, right? And that's what you are working on right now. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
You want to add something from CISPA perspective?
Yeah, I mean, I know for sure. I mean, I'm not really in the pricing area, but I know for sure we are super competitive. And also for LeaseWeb, and especially if you can offer hybrid cloud and multi-cloud. I mean, for the customer, it's a flexible portfolio in very competitive pricing, sometimes even half.
Yeah, but it's also what I find quite hard is the pricing scheme. So when you visit, let's talk about the hyperscalers first. When you visit their website, it's like buying a ticket on a cheap airline. So the entry level is like, a ticket to Mallorca, it's only 19 euros. But then you have to add 100 bucks for your luggage, and then, I don't know, another 50 bucks for a seat reservation, etc., etc., etc. So this is, again, where the marketeers have done a good job, but you really actually have to read between the lines. And I think this is very important for service providers, because Otherwise, you can't give the good advice to the customers. But really understanding the pricing schemes, especially of the public cloud providers, is academic.
Okay. Yeah.
Very academic.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and our members have this more personal relationship also with the customer, even though we are globally present and of course have a very competitive portfolio in services. But it's different in also your marketing, also the account management relationships. It's different, and also, I mean, in addition to what I was saying about the Data Act on interoperability, there's also this concept of fair terms. I'm not saying that it's applicable to all kinds of pricing, but on the other hand, I think our way of doing business, not only at Leaseweb or CISB, but just made in Europe, is quite fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair and transparent.
Yeah, and transparent.
Yeah.
Yeah, as a principle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we can talk a lot about storage, or more about storage, but we are running out of time. So let's do the following. Each one of you gets 30 seconds for a key takeaway for our audience. What would you say is your key takeaway for the MSPs in the room?
Now, please take a good look at new initiatives, new solutions. We are doing a big innovation task force on not only sovereignty, including the failover solutions. Well, of course, for the NIS2, you can benefit from a lot of new compliance frameworks. Well, you can benefit from it from a security point, and of course the innovation point, and we need to do that at a very competitive price level, of course, because we can claim sovereignty and buy from Made in Europe, but if it's not competitive, it makes no sense. That was my takeaway.
Thank you, Sebastian.
Yeah, I think it's just important to be more flexible as MSP in Europe to add additional products and solutions which automate and provide, in the end, the same portfolio as a hyperscaler can do, and typically it really can be under the pricing of the hyperscaler if you, as Patricia said, look under the lines, and also be very open maybe to add old technologies like tape with some new software on top of it, even to be more competitive than others.
Giorgio.
Yeah, for me it would be, let's say, try to get the most multi-purpose solution you can, let's say a solution that can be used in many different scenarios of use, maintain data sovereignty, so try to find solutions that help you with that, and then also security. As I said today, in my opinion, cybersecurity must be built inside storage products, and try to find solutions that help you with that.
Patricia.
Yeah, I think Made in Europe can be a true differentiator that also helps MSPs stand out from the crowd, because and even if customers are coming to you asking for something they know, any kind of brands, so don't be shy to really highlight what you have in your portfolio, which is maybe not the big hyperscaler or the four big brands, which is maybe a local cloud provider or local vendors. So engage, have a look at your ecosystem, and again, never forget, it's never an either or. So whatever is your bread and butter business, maintain it, but really be open, have a look at the right front and center, and add more services, more vendors, more solutions to your portfolio. It's not a rip and replace, it's building it up.
Thanks, Patricia. So my takeaway for you in the audience is, make storage made in Europe sexy again. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.